Hey everybody, this is Harsh Kumar with Delhi Bias Entertainment. I'm here outside Next Level Battle Circuit in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm joined with the CEO and founder of Empire Arcadia, Mr. Isaiah Triforce Johnson. How are you doing tonight, Triforce?
I'm doing fine. Guys are inside competing on the weekly basis, so kind of like KDZ's here doing this injustice thing, so kind of nervous, now that he's in New York with it. See what the competition's like, though.
That's good. Today we're going to be discussing the development of the fighting game community. So Triforce, what is your opinion on the state of the FGC right now?
Well, the FGC has come a long way from what it used to be. When I first got involved in the FGC back in 2002, like any particular scene that's like cultured or it's just looked from a hobby standpoint, it's a lot of guys in the arcades, kids getting together, playing, competing against each other. On a hardcore level, it's competitive, but it's still casual in a lot of ways. So from that point, it has evolved a lot. Now you have teams. A lot of the community gamers have come together, made little clans, and some of those clans are actually sponsored. And some of these, you have teams from, like esports teams from outside, like EG, and now coming inside the fighting game community, getting involved. And then you have development teams, like organizations such as Empire Arcadia that develops their team from the inside of the community to go out. So it has, from where it is to where it is now, it has evolved. Although there's still a lot of problems, growing pains in the organization, it looks very promising. We're just a little step closer to the esports ring.
Speaking about that, that's been like a huge controversial topic. How important do you think it is for the FGC to industrialize into esports?
It's very important, but the topic is rhetorical, because the fighting game community is going to be industrialized into an esports scene, and that's not because of any force. That's just by the nature of the scene's evolution. Any particular performing arts, competitive element, or athletic element that is taken serious always goes in that direction of being industrialized, where you have companies from the outside looking in, and they see an opportunity to create a business out of it. And as long as there's some type of an audience that they can target their business, their service, any products that are created out of it too, and they can make a profit, it just naturally becomes industrialized. Mad Catz was always involved in the video game scene, but not on the competitive level that it is now. So they create products now that generally focus on the competitive element, as opposed to the wide range of stuff that they do. Even PDP, which is involved. Now you have new companies like Canva, which creates the 8-arc sticks. Those guys are actually new. 2009 they started their business, and so forth, so forth. Razer, who deals with the esports leagues, even creates a fighting stick for the scene. So what's happening now is we're going through the steps of it's being industrialized. So the opinions of people, whether they feel it's going to be industrialized or not, is really irrelevant. You have companies that are sponsoring tournaments, putting $100,000. 10 years ago, if you thought about a $25,000 pot, you'd be like, you're crazy. Someone would tell you stay in school or get a job. Now we have that in fighting games. So it's being done right now, slowly but surely.
So since it is a slow-moving progress, what sort of evidence of progress has the FGC shown so far?
Well, let's look at the comparison. We're going to take a before and after. 2003 was my first evolution. Had about 100 to 200 man entry for Marvel 2. Prizes were a couple $100, fee of several $100. First place, second, and third. Now evolution has grown to the point where there's last year, 2012, when Capcom sponsored Evo, there was $25,000 in the pot. First place took home a large chunk of it, and it goes from 1 to 8. If you look at the fighting game scene as a whole, when people compare that now to the esports league, they say fighting games are still only making a couple $1,000s. But what they're not taking into account is the amount of tournaments fighting games have and the amount of money put in each of the tournaments. And when you had MLG last year, Mortal Kombat had $100,000 in the 4 MLGs combined. Not to mention Soul Calibur having $16,000 each, and there were 4 Soul Caliburs. And then King of Fighters, which were 2 of the King of Fighters, had $16,000 each. So you're almost nearing 200 grand. Then Evo had $100,000, and then the 25th anniversary campaign between the finals for the 25th anniversary Street Fighter to final round to tournaments in Brazil and Japan was another $100,000. So you cleared over $250,000 for the fighting game scene. And people are not looking at that because they're trying to separate the fighting game community into bits instead of actually making it all inclusive as a community. And as a community, it has completely grown significantly. But a lot of people are skeptic about it. You have a lot of people out there that don't see esports as a viable way for gamers who have the talent to compete competitively, to go professional with it. And those discouragements is what makes people not look at those particular things that are happening in the fighting game scene. But I try to look at these things, you know, I like to collect stats on a lot of stuff. So I really look at everything for what it actually is. I take the good and the bad, and then I compare the notes. And when you really compare it, you can see there's a drastic improvement, and it's only going to get better.
Okay. So let's not segregate the fighting community.
Yeah.
What's your current prognosis on competitive gaming as a whole?
Okay, let's look at this now. Okay, so MLG has been involved in fighting games. They're showing some interest this year. So let's just look at 2013 on its own. DreamHack just finished $25,000 Street Fighter tournament where Poppy beat Infiltration. So you have DreamHack that's involved in fighting games. World Cyber Games just picked up Street Fighter. MLG is talking about bringing in the fighting games, and we all know that there's injustice in the air. Evolution, and then obviously VXG, which has over $50,000 in fighting game prizes. So now we're at the $500,000 mark, where we've grown from a little bit over $250,000 last year, and the following year we're at $500,000. I believe that at this current rate, by 2015, competitively worldwide, there will be well over $1 million in fighting games. And then you're going to start to see, once companies from the outside see that this is actually a viable scene where they can generate money, and then they come down and they say, okay, now we're going to sign the big checks. Guys like ESPN, Warner Brothers, which is already involved on many levels, the leagues and the communities. And once the communities start to acclimate themselves with the league and work together, rather than having it a separate thing, the community events can pose as qualifiers to the leagues. Once that happens, you're going to see fighting games fully be accepted in the competitive arena, also known now as esports.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Triforce. Thanks for taking the time out to do this interview. This is Harsh Kumar with Delhi Bites Entertainment signing out.